And welcome to day 11 of the Atlantic Hurricane season, day 28 in the Eastern Pacific. It's June the 11th, and as of midnight UTC, there are still two systems out there at the moment. Ex-Tropical Storm Andrea moving its way across the Atlantic. Not too much to say about this one now, really, just tracking for the sake of continuity. And of course, Tropical Storm Yagi, which has intensified to reach possible peak wind speeds of 60 miles per hour and a pressure of 985 millibars. And you can see it here on the Pacific Ocean map. You can see Yagi, quite a compact system, moving its way towards the northeast, towards the Japanese coast, but is not expected to make it to a landfall position, and is likely to curve back on itself and dissipate quite a way before reaching the coast. Apart from Yagi there, we can't really see any storms that are likely to form over the next few days out in the Pacific. In the Atlantic it's fairly similar as well, with no real flare-ups to monitor at the moment in the tropical areas of the Atlantic, but we have Ex-Tropical Storm Andrea, which has moved a little bit more to the east from where this picture was at, which was about 6 hours before this video was created. And in the Indian Ocean here, not too much going on either at the moment for the Indian Ocean. That's not really much more to be said about that one. Just a few bits here and there that are not likely to become anything in the next few days. So let's take a look at the sea surface temperatures worldwide. You can see the Eastern Pacific still warm, 30-degree waters in some coastal regions in Central America. And we have the Atlantic, of course. The western Gulf of Mexico is warm, as is the Caribbean around most of the Caribbean islands, the Greater Antilles. And in the northern Indian Ocean, warm waters here, 30 degrees or more around northern coastlines. And in the South China Sea and the Philippine Sea, again, warm waters here, especially off the western coast of the Philippines, where waters are around 32 degrees Celsius at the high at the moment. Let's take a look now at Tropical Storm Yagi, currently 60 mile per hour winds, 985 millibars, 25.9 degrees north, 136 degrees east. As of 9 PM, June the 10th, when the last official update was out, here is the storm track. Expected to move towards the north or north-northeast, and then curve towards back on itself almost by the 72-hour period where it's expected to dissipate. And the main threat from this storm will probably be the rainfall over the wind, I'd imagine, over Japan, but no official advisories or warnings are in effect just yet. And here's Ex-Tropical Storm Andrea, which is likely to be absorbed by a low pressure system behind it in the next 24 hours or so before it reaches the coast of Iceland, and then the whatever that low pressure becomes will then move off to the northeast, possibly causing some heavy rain in Iceland, but nothing too extreme. And now here's to the satellite imagery. You can see Yagi creeping up at the bottom of the screen there, moving towards the northeast, and then coming more towards the north at the very end of the loop, perhaps a little bit there. And most of the storm is over on the eastern side of the centre, with cloud cover much less towards the western side, which is good news for the small Japanese Daito Islands, which have just had the gale warnings, gale advisories lifted earlier today. And we have post-Tropical Storm Andrea. What you can see of it here, this is the best loop I could find, which had quite rapid imagery, and you can see a little bit of infrared imagery with Andrea just going off the image there and then appearing again at the end, moving towards Europe, and then is expected to go off to the northeast. So let's take a look at the computer models then. The CMC, first of all, not too confident on predicting any tropical storms, though they are predicting a few tropical disturbances out in the Eastern Pacific, which aren't likely to develop over the next few days. Not very deep disturbances. ECMWF very similar, and nothing going on in the Atlantic either on either of these two. With extratropical lows, there are still some extratropical lows going off from the US off towards the Atlantic Ocean, but apart from that, no tropical systems forming that are tropical in nature over the next few days on these models. The GFS there as well, predicting a storm, extratropical storm moving into Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, but again, not really anything in the way of tropical systems, only a little bit of a disturbance perhaps in the Eastern Pacific or two. And the NavGem, again, very similar in that regard. So it appears that the tropics in the Atlantic and East Pacific at least will be quiet for the next few days, which gives me a rest, but oh well. Let's take a look now at the overall Predictor season scores for June the 11th. No change and no new entries that make it into the top 10 since the last update. Ken remains first with 108, Typhoon Bob with 101, Hurricane Melissa 20 with 99 points at the moment. In the Predictor season scores, you can do that. You can submit your own prediction on the Force 13 website /interactive. It's not too late by any means. The competition is open until the end of November. No prizes, unfortunately, because I'm not a very rich person, but I hope you'll enjoy the fun and the skill involved in predicting accurately for the season. A lot of these would have had very low totals to be so accurate at the moment. So on this day then for June 11th, quite busy. 1964, Tropical Storm 1 dissipating in the North Atlantic. In 1976, Depression 3 forming near the Florida Keys. In 77, Tropical Depression 3 again dissipating in the Eastern Pacific. In 1979, Tropical Depression 1 forming near Jamaica, causing major flooding over the island. And that year, in 1984, Tropical Depression 1 forming near the Bahamas. And in 1993, Tropical Storm Adrian in the Eastern Pacific. In 1998, Tropical Storm Agatha formed in the Eastern Pacific. In 1999, Tropical Storm Arlene formed near Bermuda. In 2001, Subtropical Storm Allison made landfall near Morgan City, Louisiana. In 2002, Tropical Storm Boris formed in the Eastern Pacific. In 2003, Depression 2 forming and dissipating in the Atlantic Ocean. In 2004, Conson turning post-tropical in the Western Pacific, and Tropical Storm Dianmu forming in the Western Pacific as well on the same day. In 2005, Tropical Storm Arlene making landfall near Pensacola, Florida, causing a single fatality there and $11.8 million in damages. NASAT dissipating in the Western Pacific. Tropical Depression 3 forming in the Eastern Pacific in 2007. And in 2011, Tropical Storm Sarika making landfall in China, causing 23 fatalities and $248 million of damages in 2011 on this day. So you can track any storm that forms on the 413 website /stormtracking.html. That includes Tropical Storm Andrea, what's left of it, and Tropical Storm Yagi, which is still progressing in the Western Pacific, and indeed any future storms that form over the next few months or years or whatever, however long I keep going with this, which might be a long time, you never know. And you can look basin by basin, warning information, other information that may be relevant to the storm on the website. And of course the social pages, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, still going on there, of course, and you can subscribe, like and favourite and do whatever else you wish, follow on these websites and show your support. And I do appreciate any of your support that you have to offer. If necessary, there will be another update on Yagi during the day on June the 11th. That will be overnight local time in the Western Pacific. And of course the Bulletin coming up at the same time tomorrow at around midnight on the morning of June the 12th. That will be Wednesday UTC.